Hey y'all, it's your girl Toyia T, and do we have a great show for you today? We are talking about Black women knowing their worth and protecting their peace, y'all. We would not be here without our sponsors. So our platinum sponsor today is CT, a PBS station, as well as Alpha Wolf Aerials. I just want to make sure that we're saying thank you to them because we appreciate them keeping us going. So today we have some great guests. We have Miss Sherry Sims from Black Women's Career Network, as well as Miss Tarita Preston here from, I'm going to let them do their introduction because, I'm not going to do it any justice. So come on in, ladies. Tell us a little about who you are and what you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on. I always say that we're ladies first here at the plug, but since we have two ladies, I'm just gonna go around in the circle. I'll have you start us off, Sherry, with just a brief introduction.
Sure. My name is Sherry Sims. I'm the founder of Black Career Women's Network. We are a national career development organization that supports the professional growth of Black women. Our whole goal is to help them to navigate workplace challenges, help to advance their careers, and just manage their careers overall. My background is in HR. I've been in the space for over 25 years, doing director of talent acquisition, also doing a lot of D&I work, building inclusive workplace cultures with training and development.
All right. Well, we're so excited to have you. Can't wait to hear more as we go. And Miss Tarita, if you could do just a brief introduction as well.
Hey there, my name is Toyia Preston. I work as a professional life and leadership coach based here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm also the creator of Leadership for Professional Women of Color, which is a live 2.5-day experience that asks the question, what if work could be a place of healing and growth? And everything that's happening to you in your professional life, what if it was for you?
Absolutely. And I think that is key when you think about today's show, right? Because I think as Black women, we sometimes get devalued, whether it be in the corporate space or in the dating scene, whatever that case might be. We sometimes get the lower end of that stick or have people kind of devalue what we bring to the table, who we are, and what we bring as a people, I think. So I want you guys to talk a little bit about when you knew your value. Like, was there a moment in time to where you started to like really identify, like, you know what, I'm that girl, right? Because I think we do have to have those moments where we really recognize our true value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You want to go, Sherry?
No, go ahead, Tarita. You go first. Go ahead.
So I would say it wasn't a moment because I think that growing into yourself and loving yourself more is a process, it's not an event. And especially when I started my business about 7 years ago, the person I was then is not the person I am now. Yeah. So it's the everyday practice of picking myself up. It's really anchoring in my own light and my own loving, because we know that society is going to do what it does, right? There's going to be misogyny, there's going to be racism, there's going to be sexism. All those things will exist. I was more interested in what are the limitations that I'm putting on myself.
Yeah,
and where am I making someone who didn't see my value actually mean something about me? And I think a lot of us sort of take it on like we have to prove it, we have to earn it, we have to work harder. And ultimately, my goal is I want to be a soft place to land for myself no matter what it is. And I've also spent a lot of time in my life feeling not good enough. And I'm really clear, I'm done with that. Like I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah. So it's been a day-to-day process of just really watering my own seeds and supporting myself and just really coming into more self-admiration and self-respect.
Absolutely. And I always say that I'm in competition with me, right? Yeah. I just want to be better than I was yesterday. I don't want to worry about this next person and how they're doing it and what they're getting ahead in. That's not something for me to worry about. I just need to make sure I'm doing better than I was, and I'm continuing to grow and learn and just be your best self. Yeah. So Sherry, did you have anything you wanted to add to that question?
I don't know if it was necessarily a moment for me either, like Tarita, but what I started to do was start to really pay attention to what I was feeling. When it came to, about 12 years ago, maybe like 2011, sitting in my job, I had been there 3 months. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, I know there's something else I can do besides, helping recruiting and leading teams and things like that. So I know there's other things I can do. And so I really just allowed myself to be curious, to explore what else I was able to do. What else would I be interested in doing? And for me, I always call it heeding to the call, because it led me to really developing BCWN. And so that's why I always tell people to trust your intuition. If you have a desire to do something more than what you're doing now, but you have no idea, you just got to go on the journey to discover what it is. And it'll lead you in the right direction if you trust what you're feeling on the inside. It will lead you to where you need to go.
Absolutely. Now, I have to have a follow on to that question, Sherry, of when you made that decision, you're in this job for 3 months. What was it? Was it fear? Like, what was the feeling that you went through? Because I know it was like a range of emotions, right?
No, it was honestly, I was 3 months into the role, and I actually didn't leave until my 1 year. It was actually 1 year when I left. During the time I stayed, I had a young daughter. So, at that time I was like, okay, I still have to pay the bills. I have a daughter to take care of. So, but I have to find a way. And so it was really divine intervention. I had to go to work a job fair for someone who called in sick. I hated doing job fairs, could not stand them. And I did it reluctantly. I did it with a good attitude. But as I'm in the car, I'm like, I can't believe I got to do this, And I get there, and a lady, she comes up to my table and was like, hey, we're looking for community partners. And I said, you know what? I'll entertain her, because one of my requirements on my review is that I need to have a community partner. And I met with her, and she's talking about the organization and what they do. And this light just came up in me. And I said, you know what? I think I want to learn more about what they do. This sounds like something I can do. And I said, well, hey, are you hiring? I just asked her straight up, and she says, no, but we're looking for volunteers. So I started volunteering for the organization. And that's when I went in and started presenting about what we do and how, the criteria that we hire for, what we're looking for in terms of talent. And one day I stayed late. Afterwards, typically I'll just do my presentation for the group and I'll go back to work. But something said, stay and hang out and get to know the coaches. And I did. Come to find out, one of the coaches was moving to the city I had moved from to come to Cincinnati. And I said, there's an opening. So I submitted my resume and a cover letter to the president and got the job as a career coach. Didn't know nonprofit paid less than corporate at the time. And so that was a blow, because I took a $36,000 pay cut to take the job. But it's because I felt compelled to do something different. What I didn't know, that it was setting me up for what I do today, because I discovered that I had gifts and talents in areas that I didn't know I had. And that if I would not have taken that risk, it would have delayed me being able to discover those things about myself.
Absolutely.
So you have to be fearless to take that leap into something unknown. And I just think divinely I was being set up for that, because BCWN was birthed out of that. Before I left that job, the concept of BCWN came to fruition.
And Sherry, what you're talking about is what I call pulling out the gold in people. So I love to pull out the gold in people. I love to see people's greatness, and they don't see it in a lot of times because they've just been great this whole time, and then nobody, when you're great at something, you don't necessarily notice your greatness, but people around you will notice, like, wow, you really did a great job with this, that, or the next. And meanwhile, you're just living your life, you're just doing what you always do. But if you never get that opportunity to go in, like you said, go into this new space and do this new thing, then that goal doesn't have an opportunity to show up.
But there was challenges with that, because I had a boss who was trying to shut me down every step of the way and not trying to allow me to elevate, to shine. So I had to work. So I left one place where I was dealing with that same thing to move into another place where I absolutely love the job, love the people that I work with, but I had a boss who was gunning for me and was trying to block me from being able to really elevate and discover how to use it. I navigated around her, of course. I managed my manager, but it still it still took me on a journey that was unnecessary, should I say. But yet unnecessary, but necessary for my personal journey, if that makes sense. So there were still challenges along with that, making that leap.
Right. You still have to navigate, right?
Have to navigate still.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Do you think that there was any one person that helped to pull out the gold in you, or was it just kind of you going through your own experiences? And this is a question for both of you guys. Was there a specific person that helps you to understand the value that you brought as an individual, or as I call pull out the gold? Or is it something that you just kind of always knew about yourself, that it was a strength of yours?
Yeah, I would say for me, it started when I started my coaching practice. I had a career in HR, and I was working at a pretty prominent company, one of the best companies for leadership. And I realized I had no inner leadership.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people talk about executive presence. And my question now is, where do you lose your presence around executives? Where do you make titles?
That's good.
Where do you oh my gosh, they have a title. So I started coaching in the organization. I was helping these women get these really big jobs. And at the same time, I've laid off over 500 people in my career. So I was having crazy PTSD, and I personally felt out of integrity. Like, how am I helping somebody else achieve their dreams if I wasn't doing it for myself? And it wasn't until I got coaching by someone who coached me and completely changed how I viewed myself in a certain situation that at the time was very triggering, that I was like, oh, I want to do that. I could do this. So coaching really helped support me. And then it became sort of a joke, like, don't let Toyia in the room because she's about to hire your coach, and then she's going to hire their coach. And then before you know it, she about to just take it over. And I think, to your point, Toyia, we want people who can help us do what we know we can. We need people in our life who can sort of see the gold in you. And I sort of took to coaching like a fish to water. So I couldn't get enough of it. I was like pulling my own gold. And that was mostly because I started seeing how I started changing, how I was having a greater level of peace, a greater level of expansion in my life. Because I used to be a person who I wanted other people to change. I wanted my family to change. I wanted my boss to change. I wanted my situation to change. And it was always, when they change, I'll be better. And then I realized, oh, I need to completely radically shift how I'm viewing this. And when I started focusing on me, I got better. And when I started really looking at it, all of my clients had something similar. So it's like, once I healed it, once I shifted it, it was able to help them. And that's why I like the profession, because I know Sherry has coaches. I have coaches. It's like, if we aren't working our own stuff, then what are we actually doing? Right.
Yeah. So I think for me, it wasn't a person. It was I guess not an incident, but more of something that happened. So I was taking this class, and I was required to take an assessment, and I reluctantly took it. I didn't want to. I was like, I don't need to take this. I know who the heck I am. I don't need to take this assessment. And I was in the, right in the, early stages of, building the model for BCWN, and still kind of saying, okay, how do I want to show up as this, leader of this, of this organization? So I reluctantly took the assessment, and I had, like Toyia, I had taken to coaching and discovered I had a natural ability, because I've always been someone who's self-driven, and I pay attention to things and people around me. And I'm not really someone to be like, oh my God, you're like my, my shero, although I do admire certain women. But I tend to really kind of pay attention more now to who I am and how I show up, and how I'm looking and looking at things, and how I guess deliver it, should I say. And so when the assessment came back, and I received the results from the professor, it wasn't validation. It was confirmation for me that I was on the right track on this journey. That it was almost like, yeah, Sherry, you did the right thing. Because as I started coaching, it was like, where has this been all of my life, right? In terms of every aspect of my personality and who I am and how I drive people and myself as a leader. It all showed up in the assessment, but it was also kind of filling in the blanks in terms of this is why I struggled in this area on my job. This is why I wasn't able to do XYZ here, or why I was able to excel here specifically. So it was more or less of a confirmation that, yeah, I mean, I have the goods, and this kind of gave it on paper, you know, what I always knew, but
Mm-hmm.
it didn't have a really solid way of defining that, if that
Right.
makes sense. And that helped a lot.
Right. So it kind of enlightened you so that you could know more textbook almost with the
Textbook,
assessment.
yeah. And so I took that and just explored it even further. So as I became to say, hey, now I have to say, I need to lead people and share with them my vision of what I want for BCWN, and have them, you know, not necessarily buy into it, but be just as enthusiastic about it as I am, to help me to deliver and create an impact.
Mm-hmm.
And that assessment helped me to understand, and confidently helped me to understand my leadership ability and maximize that in another way, because now I'm conscious of it, and it
Mm-hmm.
helped me to make a greater impact.
Right, right. And now you could offer it up to other people, right? Do you remember which assessment it was? I'm like an assessment junkie. I love all
Yeah, it's Strength Finders.
It was Strength Finders. Yeah, I love Strength Finders. Yes. And so there's all types of assessments and resources out there. Are there any in particular that you guys would recommend for somebody that's struggling with self-worth or mental health issues, or just trying to find their way? Are there resources that you might recommend?
I would recommend the Enneagram. I
What's
love
it called?
Enneagram, ENNEAGRAM. So the Enneagram is a personality assessment. It basically says that there are 9 ways to view the world. If you get into it, there's really 27. But it's when you walk into a room, what do you focus on? Some of us, we focus on power dynamics. You know, who's in charge? Should you be in charge? And if I don't think you should be in charge, I'm going to take it over.
Right.
People in our life, who is that? They're very
Yeah.
focused on like protecting people. They're like Mack trucks full of marshmallows. They appear strong, but inside they're real soft. There's other people who focus on helping and supporting. It's like they have a superpower. Those are type 2s. And I find that there's a lot of type 2 women who are wanting to help, wanting support, know exactly what other people need, but their biggest blind spot is what their own needs are. You would be surprised how many women clients who have robust professional lives tell me, I don't even know what my hobbies are, Trita. I don't even know what I like. I've been so busy raising kids. I've been so busy supporting other people that I can't even tell you what I want, like what my next chapter is, because there's no other reference. And there's other people who they tend to sort of be a little bit fearful. They worry a lot. Their brain, they always think of worst case scenario, what could go wrong, what could happen. They have a hard time seeing the positive or how it could work out. It's very helpful to know if you are one of these personality types, and it will explain so much to you. Especially for me, I was a type that tend to just, you know, oh, I want to keep it light. I want to keep it positive. Let's just have a good time. I'm into the vibes, which doesn't work when you have to talk about laying someone off or retiring.
Hard times, right?
Have health care and their wife has cancer, and I'm trying to make light of the situation. And, you know, it's like, okay, this is where my blind spots are. So I would recommend the Enneagram because I think it's such a wonderful tool.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't think I've like dug deep into it. I remember Herman Brain Dominance we did at Cintas. I really like that one. The DISC assessment is another one that I've had some luck with. And then 16 personality test is one that I have folks take for workforce to just kind of get a better sense of what is your personality suited for. So, because I feel like, especially as minorities in a career setting, a lot of times we will have this mindset that we can't do certain things, or like we're only fit for certain types of roles, which I think is just crazy. But I don't know enough of where that comes from.
I get
You
that.
know, what is that limitation? What is drawing that in to where it's like, oh, you can be a teacher, you can be a doctor, you can be a hairstylist, a nurse, you know, like there are this buckets of career choices that I just think, I don't know where that comes from, but
it's a little bit different. I think my favorite is predictive index. They call it the PI.
Okay.
And I love the predictive index. And I think for someone where Tarita is the one who lays off the people, I'm the one that's hiring them, right? So, my biggest volume of people I hired, I had to hire 42 people within a 4-month time frame for a prize for a company when I lived at home in Oklahoma City. Of course, I didn't do it by myself. I had help, but we had a very short time frame to do that. But behavior, what the PI does is looks at your behavior, personality in the workplace. And what it does is provide you with, shows you what you need, to thrive in the workplace. It shows you the type of leader that you would thrive under the best, what your strengths are, what your triggers could be. It also shows you how to work, what your personality, how you would show up and work. Mine's the captain. So I'm someone who's going to drive, you know what I mean? Drive that, need independence. It kind of gives you an idea of what that your personality is. So the person can understand your workplace personality versus not just who you are as a person showing up in the workplace. So I really love that because it's a great way to understand the people that you work with from that perspective.
I'll have to look up all of these. Listen, I am like a survey junkie. I'm not even gonna lie. I just love them because I feel like it gives you more depth. The more you learn, the more you can kind of overlay them with different things and then be able to say, like, oh, like I really am doing really well in this area, even if you were getting down on yourself about a specific trade or a certain thing. It allows you to see, like Sarita was mentioning, maybe there are some blind spots and things that you need to work on.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's an opportunity for you to bring in a partner, somebody that is really strong in an area where you're weak, and you may not be looking to get better at that particular area. Just hire in somebody that can help you with that. Yeah. So I think it's just information. I think the more information you have, the more you can tell the story and be able to prepare yourself for what's next.
And the PI does give you your blind spots too. It does give you those areas so you can identify specifically with those. Or it may be a blind spot, but maybe it could be a perception of how you're showing up. Like for mine, it said, sometimes I may come across as very blunt, and I'm thinking, well, I try not to do that. But if I am, it's because I'm giving a directive. I'm giving you why I need you to do it, right? This is the outcome I'm trying to achieve. So if I sound that way, it's because, I'm like, look, we have 24 hours to get this done. And this is what I need from you. So again, it's all about this. It helps to bring that self-awareness into how you're delivering certain things or how you're even be very mindful of how you're showing up.
Right. I also think self-awareness helps us heal our own generational patterning. Because oftentimes how we are, our work relationships are usually a play of family relationships. So if you are the peacemaker at home, if you're the fixer at home, you've probably been fixing since you were 2. You probably grew up in an environment where you had to do that. If you are a people pleaser, I'm sure you're not the only person in your ancestral lineage who was pleasing people.
Right.
So even having awareness of that can be so healing, and it can prevent you from passing down limiting beliefs or behavior patterns through your children.
Yeah. It's about accepting it, right? It's about acknowledging and accepting it, and then being strong enough to say, you know what, I do want to change this, right? I see this pattern. I'm aware of the pattern. Now I know I have tools or resources or people, whomever that is. Tarita is a life coach, leadership coach to help me work through these patterns and change them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we do have 4 minutes left. Want to see if you guys have any parting words, like anything that you like, what, I really wanted to say this, we didn't get down that lane or whatever it might be. And then your contact information.
Yeah, people always ask me this, like, what's a parting word? And I always tell people, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you. And that is a wonderful thing, because for us to be in a relationship with people, for us to know about ourselves, for us to meet our needs, we actually need to be the person who wants to take care of ourselves.
Right.
To put ourselves first. If my life doesn't work, it's because it's not working for me. And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for anybody.
Right. Right. And you got to have the gumption to go out and fix it, right? It's one thing to identify that it's a problem, but you then have to look at, okay, well, what resources, what can I put in place that will make it better? Because victimizing and just woe is me, is not going to get anything done. So at some point, once you identify it, then try to find some solutions, whether it be bringing in somebody like a Tarita or like a Sherry as a coach, or going and getting counseling, whatever they might look like for you as an individual.
Right. What do they say? Pray to Jesus, but row to shore. And usually, too many of us are not doing anything about it.
Remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't be talking about, I'm waiting on Jesus to send it, and he done put 2 rows in your book.
No, faith without works is dead. You got to put some, you got to do the work. You got to do the work.
Absolutely.
There you
Got
go.
to do the work. Got to do the work. I think mine is, once you do have some self-awareness about and recognizing who you are or the gifts that you have, fear can still keep you from moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you both have heard me say this before. So it's just kind of like my go-to, because it really helped kind of change the course of how I saw myself in moving into this space of where I am now. But it's the life God gave you is larger than the life you've been living. And so that is just to let you know that he's giving you gifts. And if you're not heeding the call of being able to move closer to using those talents and gifts, you're going to stay stuck. And you got to move out of that place of fear. And like Tarita said, that mindset, generational, whatever that is, that's holding you back from being able to have the life that he's designed for you to have. And you have to move through those things in order to get there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm talking to somebody who's been there and done that.
Yes, I love it. I hope somebody's inspired, because you guys have inspired me today. Just to, keep going after it. Whatever it is that God's put on your heart for you to do, you can do it. You have to get the right resources, put the right people in place, and make it happen, because it's definitely possible.
And it's not going to always be easy. You're going to have some tough roadblocks and things to overcome. It's not all, once you get on that train, it's going to be smooth sailing. You may get derailed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to jump back on and keep going.
Absolutely. There will definitely be some trials along that road, but don't give up. You got to keep on going. Do you guys want to give your contact information just in case folks want to reach out?
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, and I'm very, very active on Instagram. So
yes, Instagram is amazing for Tarita. It's amazing. I'm extremely active on LinkedIn. Minimal activity on on Instagram. So LinkedIn is probably is where you're going to find me the most.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys. And we are so glad you were able to join the conversation tonight. Hopefully someone was motivated to get out there, make it happen, bring around that mental health, and know that you are worthy, girl. Go ahead and do that thing. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and thank our sponsors. Thank you again, ladies.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Today's episode of The Plug is sponsored by the following companies. At the platinum level, we have Alpha Wolf Aerials. Alpha Wolf Aerials offers unparalleled aerial photography, videography, inspection, and search and rescue services. Elevate your perspective with their cutting-edge technology and commitment to excellence, ensuring high-quality results for all your aerial needs. Connect with them on Instagram at alpha_wolf_aerials and discover the difference with Alpha Wolf Aerials, mastering the sky, leading the pack. Also at the platinum level, we have CET, a PBS station. CET is your home for the arts in Greater Cincinnati. At the gold level, we have Millard Advisors. Millard Advisors is a Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area tax investment advisory firm providing tax, wealth management, and payroll servicing for the self-employed, real estate professional, and investor, and other high net worth individuals located nationwide. If you need financial assistance and don't know where to start, call 859-291-0222 for a free 20-minute consultation. At the silver level, we have Idea Cincinnati. Idea Cincinnati is a growing community school that prepares students to become champions for a better self, school, and society through the pursuit of a college-going, career, and technical education experience. Idea Cincinnati is enrolling now for students in grades K through 9 for the 2024-2025 school year. One mission, 2 locations in Price Hill and Woodlawn, Lincoln Heights. Call or text 513-376-2821 for more information today. Last but certainly not least, at the bronze level we have When Tomorrow Never Comes, a self-help book written to help people overcome childhood trauma and walk into their purpose. You can find When Tomorrow Never Comes on Amazon.com. Take the first step on your healing journey and purchase your copy today. The Plug thanks all of our sponsors for helping us keep you connected.